I've always thought of myself as a city person. I love the culture, the energy, the diversity, the food. Yet, I've always known that cities aren't terrifically sustainable. That when something comes and shocks them, they're not resilient at all. And that was really brought to my attention in a big way 3 years back when I lived in Seattle. And the wind blew for 5 minutes. And over 1 million people were literally powerless in freezing temperatures. Not only wasn't there heat or electricity, within days there was no food on the grocery store shelves. And it was then that my partner and I realized that we needed to get out of the city and move to the country and get a place with a chunk of land so we could really become more self-sufficient. And that's exactly what we did. If you would have told me 3 years ago that I'd be living in the middle of rural Idaho and loving it, I would have said you are out of your mind, which is exactly what my friends and family told me when I said we were leaving and moving to a little town called Sandpoint. And we got that piece of property with a chunk of land to grow our own food and stash some more. Got a wood stove to back up the geothermal heat and a hand pump for the well. And met some great people and realized that we were about as self-sufficient as we could be. That was until I read about the Sandpoint Transition Initiative in the local paper. I did some research online and discovered that the Transition Initiative is actually an international movement that is growing virally. It was started in September of '06 by a guy named Rob Hopkins. And it's a new paradigm about relocalizing our communities in response to a convergence of crises. Climate change, we know a lot about, and peak oil, which is the point at which cheap and easily available oil is behind us. Oil is everywhere in our lives. It's everything plastic. It's your carpeting. It's your shampoo. It's the fertilizer on your food. It's also the breakdown of the global supply chain. So basically, it's a paradigm about creating local, self-sufficient communities, growing their own food, local economies, local energy. So I got together with Richard Kuhnel, who started the Transition Initiative here in Sandpoint. And I got so excited after talking to him for a few hours that I got on the core initiating committee and became an active part of the unleashing of the Sandpoint Transition Initiative, which is an official kickoff. And I love that term because it's like unharnessing a force of nature. The unleashing is intended to be the moment in time when people look back and go, that's when it all began. So here it was, opening night. We'd sold 125 tickets. We had 75 put away for cast and crew. We didn't know who would show up. 45 minutes before showtime, almost no one. Half hour before showtime, they started coming. And before the curtain went up, we had standing room only. 350 seats more. Here's Richard talking about what it was for him.
It's our vision, helping to create a sustainable, resilient, and vibrant community. For me, this is a historic moment in the sense we talked about, and it's also for myself. It's a dream come true. I've never expected that I would ever stand here, talk about how can we create a world, how can we create a community, what does it take, how can we work together to really make a very, very big shift.
This is Gretchen Heller. She's the mayor of Sandpoint. She's a very active supporter and participant in the initiative. Michael Brownlee was our keynote speaker. While Sandpoint was the first unleashing in the U.S., Michael founded the first initiative in Boulder County, Colorado. He came to give us the big picture. The bad news? and the good news that can lie within it. You'll notice that Michael's added economic instability. This trio of challenges is absolutely huge. It's overwhelming, it's frightening, yet we have a choice. The good news is we can get beyond our hopelessness and our helplessness by taking action, by working together to prepare. We can pool our resources, our collective genius, and we can come up with new answers to move from oil dependence to local resilience. And that's what the Transition Initiative is all about. It's really a paradigm shift of going from me to we. It's a path of deliberate simplification. During the break, people had a chance to look at the Vision 2030 timeline and to fill in what they believe has to happen between now and then to create a resilient, sustainable, and vibrant community. We then got ready for the entertainment portion of our evening, featuring some fabulous local talent. The energy was running high. At the end of the evening, we were all invited to come back the next day for a 4-hour workshop. This is when the work groups would be formed and the real hands-on work to transform our community would begin. The next day, I was absolutely stunned when I walked into the workshop. 115 people, 25% of the audience from the night before, showed up the next day to push up their sleeves and get the work done. Even the mayor was there. As I worked my way around the room taking photographs, I couldn't help but being moved. I was moved by the passion and the desire of all of these people to work together for the common good. Through a series of interactive processes, we came up with 11 groups designed to rethink and revamp key areas of our community. Areas like food and the economy and energy, as well as subtler ones like the heart and soul of change and the arts. To get a feel for the afternoon, here's Bruce Mallard giving a presentation on community design.
Families can be based on, likes and dislikes, food, they can be based on food, vegetarian families, elk families, things like that. So we have to be families, and, we do need more people in our family villages. So these are like sub-villages of the whole village. Now, these villages are very close together, the sub-family villages, because we took some surveys and we found out that some people could walk like an hour to 2 hours a day to get to the village. But actually she wanted to walk around the world, but the other wanted to walk maybe a half an hour or 20 minutes to get to different villages or to the center.
It's been 2.5 months now since that first meeting, and the work groups are off and running. One of the core ideas of the initiative is to unlock the genius of your community. And I've got to tell you, I've been to a lot of meetings since that first one, and I am blown away by the quality of creative thinking I'm finding. When my partner and I moved here, I thought we were pretty much on our own. Little did I know that we were so blessed to be part of a community that would be so forward-thinking. Rather than feeling overwhelmed by the magnitude of the challenges we have ahead of us, I feel empowered, I feel excited by being part of the solution. How about you? While I'm not sure where we're headed yet, what I do know is that we're headed in the right direction. This is the end of part 1 of our story. I'll check back again with you later. You take care. Bye for now.